Welcome, my children. We're going to make the famous Giant grape sauce. First, we have to open the cans, sauce and tomatoes, and put them in the pan. That's so that they can get on the stove, and we'll drop the sausage in and let that start cooking, and then we'll mix the meatballs. I have this handy dandy one-hand can opener, which is a magnificent thing. Oh yeah, there we go. Now we're putting in a large can, 64 ounce, of, this is crushed tomatoes. Now, next, we have to put in 2 cans of tomato paste, with each can getting an additional 2 cans of water. So that's 4 cans of water, 2 cans of paste. And that's what we do. We start putting it right in here. Empty this out. This will make a large sauce for you guys. It's half of the size sauce that I normally make, which I make for the whole gang. Then you use a little cold water, and you get try to scrape as much of that stuff off as you can. And this is 1 can. And you scrape again. This makes 2 cans. Now you found it's too cheap to buy the sun-dried tomatoes, but if you can afford the sun-dried tomatoes, they're an excellent addition to the sauce. They help darken it and give it a nice, deep, rich flavor. This makes the last can of water, which we'll throw in here. Get the rest of that stuff out, so we don't want to waste anything here. There we go. There we go. Now, what we have to do is we have to get the large wooden spoon, because we got to thin this sauce. See, this paste is too thick and it'll burn, so we have to blend it in with the water. We have to get it so that this pan should have been a taller pan, and not quite as wide. Would have been better because of the for the meatballs and sauce, because it's not very deep here. But if need be, we'll add another can of the crushed tomatoes or puree, whatever we have. Of course, they weren't Sicilian; they were Napolitan, so their sauce was always a little darker than ours. They used a lot more sun-dried tomatoes. They were much more affluent than we poor Sicilian peasants. That's what we were. To help keep it from burning, we use our plate. Put that down, set this thing on 4, which is medium, and then we can add in the sausage. And the sausage can be cooking while we make the meatballs. Whole sauce should take 8 hours, and what I usually do is start this in a day, one day, and get about 4 hours, and then the day put it in the refrigerator, let it cool off, put it in the refrigerator, and the day we're going to cook, have the sauce, I get it out, cook it for another 4 hours, because everything goes in uncooked. For you impatient children, you can do what some people do and cook the sausage and cook the meatballs before you add them to the sauce, and that way you can have sauce right away, but it won't taste the same. It loses a lot of the flavor. Okay, now that's done, that's cooking. We're going to make the meatballs. And that's a pound of sausage, incidentally. And then we're going to take a little over a pound of hamburger, maybe a pound and a quarter. Put it right in there like that. And for every pound of hamburger, you should add 1 cup of crumbs at least. And sometimes I like to add a little extra to get a little more mileage out of it, like they used to do to the prisoners, which was mostly, see, the jailers would take the hamburger home and they'd add more crumbs and have the poor prisoners eating breadcrumb meatballs. And that was called jailhouse meatballs. We don't do that. Okay, what we do now is we got the hamburger in the bottom, we got the sauce, the breadcrumbs on top. We put 1 egg in there. And now I need salt and pepper and cheese. Salt, pepper, and cheese is never measured. It's to your taste. If you like a lot, I don't usually put an awful lot. Just cover it generously with a little salt and pepper, and that's enough. A lot of people use a lot of cheese. I don't. I just use just to mix it in a little bit and give it some flavor. Now, this is not going to be liquid enough, so we're going to have to add some liquid. We can use water or milk. This is handed down from Mama on down. Now, I'm going to go and wash my hands like I'm going to perform brain surgery, because I have to mix those. Excuse me. What we're going to do now is form these meatballs. Mix them with your hands, because it's the only way that I know how. Maybe one of those power blenders would do it, but I don't think so. I think this is the way. You have to be in touch with the food. You know what I mean? It needs some loving. And I gotta tell you, I'm gonna add a little bit more breadcrumbs, because I don't like what I'm feeling. Yeah, that's better. You don't want your hamburgers too meaty, or you don't want your hamburgers with too much breadcrumbs. Either way, it's not as good. The dog is getting involved in the act. This is not for you, buddy. I know you're an Italian dog and you want something to eat, but can't have any. It's a little bit on the dry side. Add a little bit more milk. If the meatball of this giant meatball that we're mixing up in here, if it feels too tough, your meatballs are going to come out hard. They should be, there should be some give, and this seems to be good. What you do is take as much meatball, meat as you want, and form it into a ball the size that you'd like. Now that's fairly average. You get a lot more meatballs out of it that size. Or you can make bigger meatballs. And we just keep making them and putting them in there. Now we haven't added any condiments to the sauce. I usually wait to put those in. We're going to have to add red pepper, garlic, and I'd like to add some wine, but some of my children are not happy about the wine in the sauce, especially the photographer. Now here we got a problem. We're going to end up with a little bitty meatball. Make a little one for Katie. Okay, now that's going to be it. Put that in there like that. And then you use warm water to get that stuff off your hands. how much do we need to add any liquid. Probably would be better if we added some liquid. See how this sauce has so much meat and not enough body. What will happen after 8 hours of cooking, the sauce will thicken and it'll evaporate. So we're going to have to add a little bit more to that. And we will in a moment. Meanwhile, we'll take a break. Now as you can see, I've covered the top of this sauce with some minced garlic and some red pepper flakes. And when I re-cook it the next 4 hours, I'll taste it to see if it needs any more of the garlic or red pepper. On the left here is a picture of my folks, Mom and Dad, and this is baby Paul, and that's Aunt Lena. And when Mom and Dad made this, one of our favorite things was to have polenta, which none of you guys really like, but it's a cornmeal which you make into a paste, cook into a paste, and you layer it on a flat plate. And Mom used to cut it with a thread because it would cut easier that way. And we took a slice of the polenta, or 2 slices, and then she'd cover it with sauce and give you a meatball and say, Benedict. And man, that was it. We were in heaven. And beans. We always had beans. A lot of beans. Okay, now I'm going to add more sauce because we're short on sauce here. We used the wrong size. It's 28 ounce. 28 ounce. So that'll give us the. See, there you go. See, now you got plenty of broth, plenty of sauce, and that when that boils down, you'll still have plenty of sauce left for your meatballs and sausage. Now all we gotta do is let this cook. And what I usually do is 4 hours today and 4 hours a day of the cooking, and that gives me 8 hours. But I know that some of you children don't have 8 hours, and if you want to try pre-cooking the sausage and pre-cooking, browning the meatballs, then throw them in, I understand you can have a sauce in an hour and a half. I have never done that. You're on your own. That's it, my children.
Mamma mia, mamma di dare. Figlia mia, cosa dare, mamma mia, pensaccia tu. Se te piglia lo pesciaiolo, isso va, isso viene, sempre lo pesce a manatena. Se ci ingappa la fantasia dei pescioli a vecchiuzza mia,